about this, and we just came out swinging, way better than we did last week, and it's just props to the O-line and the receivers for making my job easier, and the running backs as well for running the ball and just getting those yards. Can't give them enough credit. It's really them, not me.
What is up, Cal fans? This is the California Golden Bearcast. That was, of course, our starting quarterback, Jaron. Can I actually say his last name appropriately? I don't know.
Let's see if you can do it. I mean, what's it? Pulowski did the whole thing where he helped you spell it out on ABC. So
Sagapolitele?
There's think of it like a half silent N between the A and the G.
This isn't helping anyone, but I went for it, Rob. We're gonna count it. This
Jaron
is
Kiave Sangapolutele.
Yes, good enough. Taking it. You have found yourself on the Bearcast. This is, of course, a proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Sports Network. That voice you just heard was Rob. And I wanted to start with that clip, Rob, because he had one hell of a game on Saturday. But it takes a certain type of dude to just say, it was like the Marshawn, I'm going to take my teammates to Sizzler type vibe. It takes a certain type of someone to put that credit to where it was due to the teammates. Jaron just seems like a selfless guy.
I mean, there's nothing about him, even from his high school interviews and all of that showed he was anything else other than that. He was always laid back, calm, cool, collected, just wanted to play football and sling the ball around, and outside of the whole Oregon and all that ordeal, he's kind of been the same person all throughout. So it's great. It's I don't know if refreshing is the right word, but it is nice to see even a true, or it's actually pretty impressive, I should say, to see a true freshman out there holding himself to that standard, and also approaching the game of football and the fans and the teammates and the coaches with that type of demeanor.
Yeah, the thoughtfulness at the age of 18 is something that I certainly did not have. And I know there's a lot of people laughing that just listened to that. So, I mean, to me, it's rather amazing, especially coming off in that scenario, coming off such a big win. And what I love so much about this, too, was that I think we talked about, last week, sort of feeling like maybe there was an opportunity to be better prepared. And they certainly took this game super seriously and came out and wanted to make a statement that was super clear. And I love how he talked about their focus and what he was, what the goal was, and executing against that. Man.
They did that. They did that for sure.
They did that. Saturday was incredible. We're going to get into it. We're doing a little bit of a new format here, so I'm going to take everybody through it. We're going to try something out called the Bear Essentials. That is what you just heard. We'll kick us off with a quote, a reaction, or a stat, talk about it, and then we'll dive into our intro. So today, we're going to kick off and talk about the key storylines going into the game. Rob, I'm going to ask you about a couple of those, and then we'll dive into the game day experience. I'm so excited to be able to talk about my first game, and Rob, hear what was going on in your very, very busy day. And then we'll round out the way we usually do, looking ahead and looking at San Diego State.
Let's get it.
So, going into the game, here are the storylines I feel like I picked up on. What would Jaron look like versus the Big Ten? What would Cal look like against a Big Ten opponent? And really, I think, upon rewatching the game, Fleming really said this a lot on the broadcast, where this was a sort of key game in both Minnesota and Cal's season, and the winner was going to have a shot at what he called a really potential special year. And as I thought about it and watched the game, I felt like that was ringing quite a bit true. It was so cool because I didn't feel that pressure when I was in attendance, but I certainly did in watching it. So, Rob, in your mind, let's revisit those. Jaren versus the Big Ten. What did you think?
Well, I think even like to make that a more bigger umbrella point, it was Jaren versus any type of Power 4 opponent, right? And then of course your second point was also the ACC versus the Big Ten. But for the Cal side of things, it was more of what does this team look like playing any type of Power 4 opponent, and it was a nice test. Like exactly as you said, with both teams were 2-0. One of these teams was going to come out 3-0, and it was a defensive slog at first, and then the offense started to open up in the second half. But I think Jaren. Let me rephrase. I think Jaren's thing, I think all of us can agree, is we just wanted to see, before the season, we always just wanted to see his improvement from week to week. We just wanted to see him improve, maybe a baby step, maybe a large step here and there. And that's kind of what we envisioned from his true freshman season. He came out firing against Oregon State, had a little bit of a setback against Texas Southern, yet still got the victory. And then comes out here and throws another 3 touchdowns and is now sitting with 6 touchdowns to 1 interception in 3 games. And so, like, it's weirdly becoming like a boomer bust thing, you know, like Oregon State, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Texas Southern, 0 touchdowns thrown, 1 rushing touchdown, and then the 1 interception. And then this game, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So hopefully we see the trend of him continuing to improve and little by little. But I mean, he was just as poised as he was in the Oregon State game. I think the play calling in the Texas Southern game is probably what changed up a little bit of it, just because we were so run heavy. But in this one, you know, we just let him sling it against a freshman All-American in Coy Parrish. And he threw balls that everyone was impressed with. Like, we already knew he could throw some of this. We thought maybe there were going to be some inconsistencies with those throws. Wasn't the case. Still making those throws. That ball to Javian Plummer, basically in the triple coverage, and that was the only place that you could throw to for Plummer to be able to make that catch. And JKS throws it on a dime. And it was absolutely incredible. Like the comparison that I've been coming back to is I've been watching a lot of old sports movies, and one of the ones I love to watch is Driven, Sylvester Stallone, and also I always forget his name, but the Sunshine from Remember the Titans. It's a F1 movie. It's Sylvester Stallone plays this old driver who comes back to help coach the team, kind of like the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt. But one of the things he does in there is, like, as he drives around the course, he flicks a quarter out onto the street or onto the course, and then on his second lap, he's basically turning the corners, and he picks up the coins with his back tire, and he picks up all 3, or he picks up 2, and then the young driver is like, he didn't get the third one, and then they roll the tire back, and it's on the other side of the tire. And so he has all 3 quarters. Jaren's kind of like that, where he makes 2 incredible throws, and you're like, he can't possibly get another one, could he? And then he nails it. And so that's kind of what we're seeing week to week. It's impressive. It's fun to watch, and the improvement every single week is just going to get better. Like, there's going to be stuff on the tape from this week that they're probably going to look at and be like, Jaren, we have to fix this, you know, like his scramble that lost us, I think 16 yards, to go from, I think 2nd and 12 to, I think it was like 3rd and 26 or something like that. And so just things like that is, you just got to throw it away. You can't try and make a play on every single one. But I was talking to Peter about this, and I think we both agree it's easier to coach that out of a player than to try and instill in a player that you can't just run the moment you feel like something's not working in the play, you have to try and keep it going. So this is going to be a lot easier for him if he's going to consistently try and make plays with his arm.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're really nitpicking, the only two play, I think there was the play that you just mentioned, the tip ball, and then the pass downfield that Trond was open on, and he didn't put enough air underneath. But that is basically it. And I saw JJ McCarthy do the same thing when I think it was Josh Naylor was pretty open in the game last night. So yeah, you just don't see the ball is he just throws such a good ball. And even like the first plays that he was like when you on the broadcast you hear Brock Osweiler and Dave Fleming start to kind of geek out about, and from my side I was like, we've seen Jaron make that throw, you know, and then it was just like it got better and better and better, and it's just like loved hearing the enthusiasm. I do think calling Texas Southern, you know, I think it really was more of a game plan thing than it was Jaron himself, and it like the script and what we did against Oregon State, which we'll talk about here, was so just like opposite of what we had done with Texas Southern. That I really view his I think he's just progressing, you know, up and to the right, and it's amazing to be a part of. It's amazing to see, and I especially loved that in this game they battled from going like they actually went down and then came back and like answered right away. I think those are the things that really give me a lot of confidence. Seems like as good of a transition as any, you know, given the hype around this game. What's your specialness rating so far? How are you feeling
About what, this season?
Yeah,
Dude, it's exploded. I mean, we're recording this Monday afternoon, and it's already exploded, right? George Reister, who did like the old like a Pac-12 podcast with one of the Rivals guys, like with Ralph Amsden, and he was like, he put out a video on Twitter today where he's basically like, you know, like it's a little clickbaity, but he's basically saying that Cal has a path to the CFP. Just because of our schedule, and you know, he's like, if Cal goes 12-0 and let's say they get, you know, hammered by Clemson or Florida State in the ACC championship game, like, will the committee really not put a 12-1 team in the CFP? And so, you know, people are talking about that, like the Sleeper fantasy football app, like their Twitter accounts, like putting out stuff about, you know, is Cal is going to make a special run this year, like. I think the hype, it's like, it's both, right? Like, we're winning, and then we also have this exciting new freshman quarterback who looks like a star in the making. And those two things colliding at the same time has led to us, like, just vaulted us into this level of hype and, like, could this be type of storylines that I haven't seen in Cal fandom ever. On top of like us getting game day last year and, you know, all the hype around that, and then the Calgorithm and everyone's love for the fan base and what we do with just the fun of the fan side of things, like it's just reaching a fever pitch, and I hope we arise to the occasion for that. And I've tried to veer away from it because, Andy, you and I had that conversation about, you know, like how much would we pay to go to a CFP game and, you know, like all of that stuff. But like, we were joking around about that with no sense of like it was in the like reality of what could possibly happen. It was a far off like possibility, but now people are like pushing it as if like it's a tangible type of reality. And I'm just too afraid to reach out and grab that reality yet. Like, I think I'm going to sit here and be like, I'm not going to have these conversations nor entertain any of those ideas until we're like 5-1 or 6-0. Then I think I will start to have those conversations. But right now I'm like, it's 3-0. Like I can't do this to myself yet. It's I did it naively in 2007 because I had no idea what college football was or what being a Cal fan was. I don't think I could put myself through that again without mental repercussions. So I'm gonna stay silent until we come to an inflection point in the season of like it's the point of no return where we're on that trek to make a potential run at this.
Wow. Well, I I can't. I am stunned that the CFP already came up. But yeah. In some ways, I'm very glad I live under a rock.
We're a quarter of the way through the season. Like that's the crazy part, and that's why these conversations are happening.
But okay, yes. I mean, look, the thing is, okay. So let me go back. I think we were 5-0 when we went to Utah with Jared. Like that.
Yeah,
and we were ranked. I think that was like the last time when the program had this amount of hype in the Sunny era. It was supposed to be the year that we put everything together, and then it kind of wheels came off. But the thing with 2007 is we had the track record of having already been there. When we got to number 2. I mean, it's in no small part due to the fact that we had been in the top 10, in the top 5 or top 8. It's like we were a proven commodity at that point. Whereas this would be like, this is akin to what SMU did last year. And I think SMU, like, there were expectations that they would transition really well into the ACC. But, like, I think this would be even more surprising.
Well, the bigger comp I think that people are making with the CFP stuff too is Indiana from last year.
Sure, that's a good one too. Yes. I mean, look, it's definitely possible. The schedule is terrible, but if you're like saying 5-1, I'm not seeing that, because that means you lost to Duke, who doesn't look great, UNC, who doesn't look great, or Boston College or San Diego State. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tough. So I think I'll pour a little bit of water on it, because the second you get, like, would the committee not put a 12-1 team into the playoff? Of course. They didn't put an undefeated team into the playoff. Like, what would stop them from, a poor strength of schedule and making that decision? Like, I think but like everything about it is a little bit ridiculous. Like, the shoe will inevitably drop. Like, it's going to happen. We know this. We have been through this too many times. And I can't believe I'm the person over here that's like saying, hold on, everybody. But so be it. That is my path in life right now, apparently. But okay, we jumped the gates a little bit. I like it. The path to special season. Love the thoughts. And the other big storyline coming into this game was obviously Cade was out for the first half. And so we can circle back on that and his performance. Rob, like, what in the world were you doing on Saturday?
I had the most tiring Saturday. Dude, I've had the most tiring Cal football season I could possibly imagine. Like, just the sheer insanity of everything that's ensued, with hosting a tailgate and like this stuff, and then this Saturday was the culmination of all of that, which was we had to prep a tailgate during the week, and then of course Avi and Alex, who most Cal fans have seen now because he was the guy that was dressed as the Pop-Tart that was crowd surfing the student section, and then Nam, and of course one more friend as well who was helping. Like, we planned that tailgate and everything, and then Saturday rolls around. I can't help with that at all because I got credentialed to go shoot the LAFC game because my Korean captain Sonny was playing the Earthquakes at Levi Stadium, and I had to go. I knew if I got credentialed, this was going to be one hell of a day, but I just like, I couldn't pass up the opportunity not to shoot one of the greatest Asian players of all time, if not the greatest Asian player of all time, the greatest Korean player of all time, and probably the most popular Asian athlete of our generation. So Yeah.
Like more popular than Otani. Wait, that's crazy. More popular than Otani?
Easily. Yeah. I think I think you underestimate the sport of like football, like soccer.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Yes, without a
worldwide
doubt.
is
Yeah.
just so much bigger than the reach of baseball. Or any other sport. So yeah. So let me run you through my day, right? Woke up at 8. Just did my final checks of all my gear because I had to shoot 2 games. I bought extra batteries and stuff during the week. Made sure they were all charged. Made sure I had enough SD cards to take all the pictures and video. Left the house at 12:30. Got to Levi's with a little bit of traffic. Got there around 2-ish. And then media will call for Levi's opened at around 2:30. Got into the stadium. Found my seat. MLS is really weird too because it is an American league. They do a coin toss, so like I wasn't sure which direction LAFC was going to be attacking. So like I placed my bets and put it on one side, and then I got walked around, took some pictures of the crowds and all the people wearing his jersey and so on as people entered, and then warm-ups happened. Took pictures of him during warm-ups, like him walking out. And then when they do like the little team huddle starting 11 picture, and then they do the coin toss, and then I'm like, I have all my stuff in my hand ready. The other photographer over there I asked him if he could watch my stuff just in case I had to run to the other side. He was perfectly cool with it. And thankfully the coin toss landed, and it was the side I'd already stationed myself at. And game happens. 1 minute into the game, Sonny scores. He runs to the other corner from where I'm sitting, and I'm like, damn, I'm not going to get a celebration. He U-turns back to where I'm sitting, and he celebrates literally in front of me. And I get his goal ceremony where he's like taking a picture, his iconic one. And then LAFC scores 2 more goals in the next 10 minutes. Earthquake score another one. So it's 3-1, halftime. I'm packing up to leave. Fun story. As I'm packing up to leave, the Levi Stadium sprinklers decide to go off on the field, and I get absolutely drenched. Pack my stuff with my shirt and my shorts all drenched in water. Head to my car. Call Avi. Ask him how the tailgate went. Drive up to Berkeley. On the phone with Peter because he's giving me the updates of the play-by-play. Thankfully, the Arkansas game before the Cal game went a little over, so our game got delayed, I think kickoff-wise, by about 5 to 8 minutes. Park at Underhill, lug my stuff, get up to Memorial as fast as I can. Andy, you know this, but the media will call ends or closes at the end of the first quarter. The first quarter ends as I open the door to the media lobby. Get in, skin of my teeth, go to the photo room, unload all my stuff, prep all my things, take like 2 seconds to breathe, get water, get onto the field, and it's, as I'm walking onto the field, it's Cal downing the punt in Minnesota territory on the 2-yard line. And then from there, it's the Cal game for the rest of the night.
Dude, I'm exhausted listening to that, and I have a kid.
The entire day I ran on an omelet. I ate in the morning at like 9 a.m. and didn't get a chance to eat until after we dropped off all my stuff, dropped off all the rest of the tailgate stuff, and then went to In-N-Out with Avi and Nam at like 1:30, I think, where I called you as well because you were out doing things after the Minnesota game.
No way. We were in like totally different worlds.
Yeah, that's why when you sent me the picture of Top Dog, I was like, I'm at In-N-Out. I was like, this is my second meal of the day. Like, I need to eat. I'm not going to Top Dog.
Oh, that is ridiculous, but sounds absolutely amazing.
It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, and the most frenetic and scary and anxiety inducing because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to Memorial in time. I was like, if they don't let me in, am I going to have to just sit in the car at Underhill lot and watch the game from my phone? Like, is that what I'm going to have to do? but no, thankfully he let me in, and who is a listener of this podcast, by the way. So thank you very much, sir.
I love that. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
And that is a little different from the day of drinking that I had. But yeah, I would say
you had a long day too, though. You had a fun long day.
Vibes were immaculate.
Yes.
I showed up around 4:30 to Raleigh's and went there, and dude, it was like apparently packed with Minnesota fans, which like good on them because we don't have that many cool bars to go to for a drink beforehand. So they clearly figured out the right one.
Yep.
And then it slowly became a little bit more 50-50, but they were doing like their own chants. Mm-hmm. It was great. And then we ended up, the Oski beer, that beer is, first of all, it's really good. And it gets kicked so fast. It's the second straight time that I've gone that the keg's been out at a Cal bar of that particular beer. So good job, Bear Republic. The Golden Ale is flying off the shelves.
Yeah, as one of our dear friends, Ben Wise, noted, it is. He texted me. He goes, "Today I learned Oski Gold is incredibly easy to shotgun."
Wow, that sounds like something. I don't know about shotgunning a Golden Ale. It doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound great. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I mean, so vibes were amazing. 7:30 game. Sunset, like absolutely gorgeous. Perfect sunset, perfect weather, not too cold. And just overall, like you could tell, I didn't know what. I think the nice thing for me is I didn't have huge expectations coming in. It was kind of a coin flip game from Vegas. I think the spread was 2.5. So I looked at it and was like, this could go either way, and I don't know which way it's going to go. So I actually felt like that was as healthy as I've ever approached a Cal game. And then immediately upon getting in, I remember one of my buddies, Fong, looked over and was like, wow, it looks packed. And it turns out, I did want to shout this out. Compared to last year or the year before, Miami game sort of being the outlier, the stadium was pretty damn full. And I was trying to explain that because people were like, well, it's still empty. They're like...
Even on the field, it felt like it was closer to the Miami game.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't take fault if XX and, it's like where XX is hard to fill, and then you also have like the away section, and Minnesota showed up pretty good. Like, I would be shocked if any ACC team shows up better than Minnesota did for that game. And if the away section is empty, like we can't take. I felt like it. All things considered, and when you look ahead and you say, "Hey, could you stay undefeated and come back for the Duke game?" There's certainly a reason to believe that stadium, that could sell out. I could see that selling out.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be dependent on kickoff time. Like Boston College was just announced today. I mean, I know that's an away game, but that game was announced for 12:30 Pacific time. So, I
parent friendly.
Hard. Yeah, it is. It's hard for me to think with Jaren in tow, and if we keep winning, like we don't have to win every game, but if we keep on that trend, it's hard for me to think that they would put us on a 12 p.m. Pacific slot at any time.
Yeah.
I was trying to the eyes of Jaron.
I was actually talking about this because I was saying that a lot of the games, I got the tickets so that I could take Eva to the game, and I really can't take her at 7:30. So, and someone was like, yeah, we have a lot of 7:30s. And I was like, you know what? I just think ESPN loves us. And I think last year, and like credit to you all with the Calgorithm and everybody that's been associated with that and keeping Cal consistently a part of the college football discourse, I really do. I think they love us. I mean, they're going through highlights about like, game day, and then didn't even have to say it. They're like, oh yeah, and by the way, the whole staff like said that Berkeley was their favorite of the whole year, and they're building something, and Calgorithm gets its mention. I just think there's like so much that has kept Cal relevant that ESPN just likes the slot. They're like 7:30. They know that people will stay active on social media with it. ACC, like, and now you add in the fact that you have a freshman quarterback who looks incredible. I mean, it's an easy sell to me, and that's why I expect we'll continue to just get more late slots. And it sucks. It's also kind of nice for us. Like, at the end of the day, who's more adjusted to playing at 7:30? It's certainly not North Carolina. It's certainly not Virginia. Like, it's going to be us. We're like, at this point, we will have played Oregon State. We'll have played Minnesota, San Diego State. Then we got UNC at 7:30. I mean, it's just like, we'll be really accustomed to that. And that's a huge advantage to us for anyone that's coming from the East Coast to Berkeley. So,
yeah, I mean, looking ahead a little bit too, like to your point, like regarding UNC, we did the research. I don't think Bill Belichick has ever played a game on 7 Pacific, like on 7 p.m. Pacific time. So like the latest he's ever played is probably 5 p.m. Pacific.
Are you concerned he's going to fall asleep?
Dude, that's 10:30. That's 10:30 his body clock time. It's going to be past midnight at halftime.
Yeah. So you're concerned he's going to fall asleep.
I'm concerned he's going to make some mistakes while coaching, which is great for us.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. All right. Quick transition here. I want to go 3 big takeaways. Rob, what were your 3 big takeaways from this game?
So I was just rewatching the game before we started recording because, of course, I missed the entire first quarter. And then second quarter and on, I'm on the field. So, like, I don't really get good depth perception and what's happening on the field. So I was scrolling through, and perfect that you asked me this because I did kind of notice 2 or 3 things. First thing, Hezekiah Masses might be a better ball hawk than Noel Williams is. He has a very good ability to read the trajectory of the ball and has the spatial awareness to move to where he thinks the ball is going to drop. And that's kind of, if you watch his interception in the Minnesota game, that's exactly what he does. He sees the ball from basically launch, knows it's going to be at the sideline, and has the spatial awareness to get around the wide receiver into that space between the receiver and the sideline. And that's where the ball gets dropped in, and he picks it off. And I think he's a little bit more athletic and twitchier than Noel. So that pick just looks so much crazier because he just glides into that space. You know, if we talk about Jared being able to make throws into only places his wide receivers can catch, then Hezekiah Masses is one of those DBs that knows that's the space that he has to get to, and he makes those plays. So absolutely impressed with him. And, you know, we've talked about DB recruiting and development, how that's not our biggest issue because we've seen the track record, and it's happening again. So that's point 1. Point 2, big takeaways. We still have very big issues with our run blocking scheme and getting guys open or creating running lanes for guys. But at the same time, it's nice to see Famika move his rotation around. Like last week, we saw Miller wasn't that great at right tackle. So what do? We put in Leon Bell, and it looks like Leon has basically taken that job. And then Moko didn't look that good at right guard. And I think we put Braden Miller, Barrett's younger brother, in at right guard. And he basically played the rest of the game from that spot. And he looked great doing it. So it's nice to have an offensive line coach who's not necessarily trying to see what sticks, but is willing to make the changes if you're not performing to standard, instead of sticking with 5 to 7 guys regardless because of either 1, you don't have the talent, or 2, you're hell-bent on making your choices work. So that's number 2. Number 3, I think just watching that game as a whole, I think the wide receivers are going to get better as the season progresses. I know we had that concern of the drops and stuff, but having watched the Minnesota game again, I definitely think that it's gonna trend up. That's my projection for that group. So those are my 3 big takeaways. But I will toss it to you for your 3.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think drops weren't anything that I necessarily took away from this game as an issue, other than, there were obviously a couple that we saw, but it wasn't something that it felt like it took away a big play the same way it did against Oregon State. And I agree. I mean, I felt like Tron had an amazing catch on the sideline, was also an amazing throw. Helps when your receiver is 6'4". Tron also had one, that PI call that was really big, that, Jaron put that ball only where he could get it, and I think he could have. So, yeah, I think their wide receivers played really well. I'd like the point about the O-line. Certainly feels like a little bit more going back to the Greatwood philosophy of having guys that can play any position and slotting them in and rotating them in and getting them that experience. But I do think that's a phenomenal call about the running. I wrote down as like, we just got to kind of figure it out, because it did seem like Raphael was going to be RB1, and after this game, and especially after watching the tape, I didn't realize this, but like I really felt like it was Brandon High that looked better, especially late. And all they're talking about is like the size of Minnesota. Of course, that's more of a reflection of their offensive line, but still, going back to our original, hey, like, what's this game going to be against a Big Ten opponent? I felt like Brandon High looked really good, especially late. My big thing, I think, coming out of this, like my three were quite simple. One, Jaron just looked phenomenal and deserved the first shout out. Like, there's no other way to put it. I think he just had the one throw where it was like, okay, that might have been a freshman mistake, but luckily it got tipped. And like, hey, the ball's rolling Cal's way this year, and I don't know why. And the field goal tips off the goalpost and goes in, but let's just keep it rolling. Like, no reason to mess with that. TJ Bush played exceptionally well off the edge. He had a fantastic game, especially in the first half. And this is it, Rob. I was so excited to tell you this. Remember how in the preseason pods, I would always predict that our punter would win us one game?
Every year. Without fail.
Without fail. And I didn't do it this year. And our punter won us this game.
I swear to God, since last season, this season feels like we're going full tilt in the opposite direction.
I agree. I mean, it's like the special teams were perfect on special teams, and then the punts are getting down to like the 2-yard line, and then the mistake is happening on, where the player goes and picks up the ball that's bouncing and makes a silly mistake that goes Calder. I was like, what is happening? Maybe this is just the magic of Juanito. Who knows?
I mean, remember like last year, everyone was like, why do we have 2 kickers? Why the hell do we have 2 kickers? Now this year, everyone's like, it's great to have 2 kickers.
We're loving it.
We're loving it. We
add
love,
a third.
We love the short range and the long range kicker. We should have one that can kick a 65-yarder, and that'll be our third kicker.
I will say, I mean, credit to our punter. Like, they were amazing punts. Like, every single one of them was, and then obviously the returner, that Coy Parrish or whatever his name is, like, boy, did he have a rough day. Catching the ball in the 2 was hilarious. It was like and then our punter like backs that up with like a ball that bounces in the middle of the field and goes straight left and goes out at the 2. Yeah, I mean, we won the field position game that I know Wilcox cares deeply about while losing time of possession. Cal won a football game while losing time of possession, and we won the turnover battle, I believe. So, but that's still a hell of a statement. It was, it does feel just like just keep those vibes going. I'm like, I don't even want to say it. It's just, we're just gonna keep rolling. But let's talk O-line, because that was like my main takeaway on the offense. The pass protection is night and day better. Night and day. Like, Jaron has legitimate time. What do you attribute that to? Or are you seeing it the same way? I mean, it just seems like from Fernando running for his life, or Jake Plummer running for his life. Jake Plummer lost years off of his life because of our O-line. And now it really does feel like we moved Jaren out of the pocket a little more, which is nice. But we did that with Nando too. So I'd be curious to get your thoughts. Like, what is working?
I mean, you basically have to attribute it to the coaching, right? I don't think there's a lot more you could say to point to that. Like, because, you know, you can point to recruiting and maybe the transfer portal and the guys we brought in, but that also goes back to coaching because it's talent identification and it's recruiting those guys. And so, like, not only is it Famicca, but like it's some of the other offensive staffers that had to do with that decision making process and who they decided to target and who they brought in. Like Cal's, I'm looking at PFF, which, you know, once again, not the greatest if you just take one single stat, but it's good to see it in relativity. And Cal's pass blocking on the season is rated as the 44th best in the country, which sits somewhere in between like Pitt's at 42 above us, Kansas State's at 74 at 44 above us, and right below us is Wake Forest in Minnesota. So and Mississippi State. So it's like we're sitting above average is what, and that's exactly what you want. So like it's, as you said, it's been night and day from the last few years, and I feel like not only has the coaching gotten better, but we've brought in guys, and the talent drop off between the first 5 and then the next 4 hasn't been as severe as in years past. And guys have stepped up into specific roles and also the competition. Like, you know, as I was talking about earlier, like Leon Bell taking that right tackle job looks like he's the most important. And, you know, because with Jaren being a lefty, usually it's your left tackle needs to probably be your best offensive lineman, but for us, it's our right tackle needs to be our best offensive lineman. And Leon did a great job yesterday on Saturday against the Power 4 opponent. So we'll see what that looks like against more Power 4 opponents coming up soon after San Diego State. But for now, it's definitely trending in a positive direction. But
I also like that he has like a linebacker number. There's 2 offensive linemen that have linebacker numbers.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's 56? I was wearing the jersey. It was great. It was perfect timing. Couldn't have been better to wear the Follett jersey.
Who was also at our tailgate, by the way.
I just saw.
Incredible. Just incredible scenes all around.
Yeah, it sounds... You guys are good. There's good vibe. Dude, the vibes are fantastic right now. Okay, let's go defense. You already took it. I was just going to say, Massis is amazing. I was going to ask you this. They said on the broadcast, Rob, that he had one that was called back. I thought he still had that pick. It just was the touchdown that was called back. But they made it seem like he had 4 potential interceptions.
No, the pick 6 was called back.
Okay, but like they said that he had another one that was like an interception that got called back to the penalty. I feel like that might have been off. But anyways, he's so good on the outside, and like I love that they kept calling us like DB. They basically were making the argument for Cal being DBU, and I love that that's our reputation. It should be. Our DBs have been so good for so long. We've had an incredible run of like secondary success under Wilcox. But Massis looks like, I mean, to call him like a better version of Noel Williams, like, oh my goodness. My goodness.
I think also like Cam Bynum in the NFL right now with like his celebrations, like going crazy, has only vaulted us to like another level with the DBU, with the like that label. So like it's just insane like how good he is. And I just keep going back to what we talked about before the season, where like everyone was like, but the secondary is so fresh and new, and we're like, I think both of us were arguing, but have you seen our track record with who we've brought in and who we've developed? Like, we're not worried about that whatsoever. And through the first 3 games, like, we were proven right. Like, there was not something to be worried about. Maybe some depth on the safety side, but like, we're also let's not forget, we're also starting a true freshman at safety, and he hasn't made any egregious mistakes where we're questioning whether it's good to be starting a true freshman safety. If anything, it's great because he's the one that recovered the fumble or the muff punt in the by Coy Parrish. So like, just incredible that we've been able to develop those guys and ID that talent properly, and to be like, hey, look, we don't. If you're good enough, you can play. Like, age doesn't matter, and that's just wild, just absolutely wild.
I mean, I think to that point, and specifically like depth was something I talked about before. Like, what would it look like if Cade went out, and we got to see that. Cade was out for the whole first half, and I mean, the guys played really, really well in his absence. I mean, it felt like not only just in obviously making being in the right spots, tackles and all of that, but like also just like getting pressure, and like they weren't just like average plays, but these were guys that were like popping off, and I just felt like that was really great to see. So I mean, it's all in sort of support of this greater argument, which is Cal lost all this talent but then went and replaced it. And it was what I heard from you early on. I would say like the most optimistic people that I talked to about this year said the talent out was replaced and then some. It wasn't like it was like drastically better, but it was fully replaced and then with some additions on top. And I feel like this game was actually a really good example of that. There like maybe more depth to this team available to us to sustain the inevitable adversity that's coming, right? Because it's college football. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL already, but like college football, like we know that there's adversity coming.
Yeah, and I think that the point I'll add to that is like, yeah, we brought in incredible amounts of talent, but also some of the guys that are making plays and showcasing their ability on the field and pushing the starters and other players to be able to get playing time are homegrown guys, right? Like you mentioned the inside linebackers and how they played without Cade, but like Farrelly was homegrown. Like we brought him in, we flipped him from Stanford and we brought him in last year from high school, and he's developed into the starter. Like Aaron Hampton, who also played a lot of snaps at inside linebacker on Saturday night, from Alaska, by the way, Matt Ha's favorite player, and even he, high school recruit, homegrown that we developed. Like there's a ton of those guys all throughout the roster. Like it's not only transfer portal, but it at least feels that way because of the transfer portal era and all that stuff. But it's a mixture, and it's we've never really had an issue of identifying the talent on the defensive side of things and playing the right guys on the defensive side. We've had a lack of talent, but I don't think it's ever been a case of why are we playing him, not him.
Yeah.
And
I agree with
offensively we've had those issues, but defensively we've never had that issue, and particularly under Wilcox. So like that's why it's fun to watch this defense now, because not only do we have the talent at 1 and 2, but we have the talent at 3 and 4.
I still wonder too, as you're talking through that, if there's this like benefit of focus thing for Wilcox right now, where he has probably all-time high trust in what's going on the offensive side of the ball, and so he, as a former defensive back, can spend some time like coaching up that team or that side of the ball, and just even just focusing on the defense as a whole. Because, right, like you would expect more of a drop-off between Sermon, who is like an experienced defensive coordinator, to basically defensive coordinator by committee. We haven't seen it. And if anything, we've looked better. And I think like a lot of people thought Minnesota would just come in and run all over us. And, how good was your Luke Farrelly pick? That's looking great after 3 games. But the whole defense, I felt like... this is a team that is built behind running the football and wearing opponents down. And while there was some mention on the broadcast that we were getting worn down, I didn't really see it. It certainly wasn't like Texas Southern, where all of a sudden it's like we were just getting like chunk play after chunk play. Like, yeah, there was certainly a couple of plays, but and we probably benefited from Minnesota not having their starting running back. But defense looks great and looks super solid, and I think it's a good time to transition ahead. So we got, San Diego State on the road, 7:30. Rob, you're attending?
I will be making my way down to San Diego on Friday, yes.
What are you expecting?
From that game, I don't know. It's for me, every game from now on, because we started 3-0, is a trap game.
They're all trap games.
They're all trap games. Every single one is a trap game now. So, we'll see where we go. They have a former Cal running back, Byron Cardwell, on the team too. They haven't looked that great in their first 3 games, but whenever we play San Diego State, it's much like Nevada to a lesser degree, but it has a little bit of that, right? There's something always just a little off.
Always think we're going to lose this game.
Yeah, about playing San Diego State. And then remember the last time we played there, which was 2016 with Davis Webb. That game was a slog, and we had multiple chances to win that game, and Davis Webb got picked off in the final drive. So it's just I'm not going to say I feel bad about the game, but it does spook me a little bit. At the same time, we aren't playing at Qualcomm. We're playing at the location at which Qualcomm used to exist, RIP San Diego Chargers. But it's weird, right? It's not Qualcomm, but it's Snapdragon Stadium. So you just moved chipsets, basically.
It's fake Qualcomm.
Yeah, it's fake Qualcomm. Yeah. It's mobile Qualcomm. That's what it is. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I think there's a lot of Cal fans going. I think if I saw the tweet correctly, the Cal allotment for the San Diego State game has been sold out. So all the Southern California Cal fans are going to be out there in force just mostly because of Jaron, if they've been watching Cal games, because it's just an exciting time to be a Cal fan and to go watch. So there's going to be a bunch of us there. I'll be there. Avi will be there. Nam will be there. Thomas will be there. Our writer Christopher H. also making the trek down from LA. Terrence also making the trip down from LA. I believe our dear friend Adams is driving down for the game as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got some folks. We got some folks in tow, and I think it's going to be a very, very fun time.
I mean, it's hard to beat San Diego in September.
Yeah.
It really is. It's going to be a great time. Before we wrap, did you get any long-term injury note or things that we need to be concerned with as we think about going forward?
Not really. I think the guys, Polidor played, right, this game, which was a very, very good sign. And I think there was one player towards the end who went down, but when the trainers went out, they were just stretching out his calf, so I think it was cramps.
McCullough, right?
Yeah, I think it was 100% cramps because they were just flexing his calf to make sure, So drink your electrolytes, eat your bananas before the game. It's just don't cramp. What was that Japanese baseball player with that famous interview? You know what I'm talking about. Where he's how they were asking him how can you not cramp, and he's bananas, and they're what do you mean? He's monkeys bananas. Never cramp. Bananas. He says that and so he's I will eat my bananas before the game, so just eat your potassium, get that all in. But in terms of key long injuries, I don't think I've seen anything or noticed anything from the game. At least it didn't look like anyone was carted off, so I think we're in a good place. If anything, we saw some guys back. I mentioned Drew Polidor. Derek Wilkins was also back for this game as well. So I think we're weirdly getting healthy again as we enter the middle part of the season.
All right, I'll leave you with this. ACC standings. Top 3 teams. Georgia Tech, NC State. Want to guess the third?
It's us, isn't it?
Stanford.
Oh, because they beat Boston College, right? Because oh my God, yeah. Because conference wins loss is takes the lead over overall.
Yep. Overall, there's 4 teams that are undefeated right now. Georgia Tech, that game was amazing, by the way. Walk-off field goal. NC State, Miami, and Cal. But then the only 3 that have played an ACC game that are undefeated in the ACC are obviously Georgia Tech, NC State, Stanford, and then Wake Forest, Boston College, and Clemson all have 1 loss.
The funniest timeline here is if Georgia Tech and Cal play in the ACC championship game.
Yes.
That's honestly the funniest timeline here. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be the funniest.
They look good.
Haynes King is the real deal, man.
Yeah.
Haynes King is absolutely the real deal.
All right. Let's leave it. I like that. Let's leave it there. Georgia Tech and Cal in the ACC championship. See, I can get behind that. When people start talking about CFP, that's where you lose me. But if you want to talk about ACC championship, I can get behind that.
Yeah, Nam was already talking to me about like, should we book non-committal hotel rooms in Charlotte just so we have a good rate on hand if we need it?
Hotel is the least of my concerns in that travel equation. Hotel is not going to be a problem. Airbnb is not going to be a problem.
Hotel feels like it's the most.
No, it's flights, dude. It's because trust me, it's only American Airlines that flies there from San Francisco. It's flights, and that's holiday season. Anyways, tell Nam it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, flights is a big one.
Well, I guess that's a good place to end this podcast. That's been the Golden Bear Cast, folks. If you want to listen to us, you already listened to us, so you know where to find us. All our written stuff's over at radforcalifornia.com. You could there's some good stuff up there that's going up this week. It's always easier for me as a site manager to get people engaged when we're winning. So go over there, enjoy all of the fun Cal content you can crave. As I said before, the analytics team at Right for Cal this year is absolutely stellar. So go read all their stuff from Peter to Burke to Lindsay. And then there's another long-term project one coming from Edric. And so there's some fun ones out there. Of course, Nick's Monday column, Thomas's Sunday column. There's just so much to read, and enjoy to your heart's content. But that wraps it up for us on the Golden Bear Casts. I will be in San Diego. Andy will not. He'll be watching from here. If you want to come say hello and meet some of us in San Diego, you can probably get that information from somewhere on Twitter, whether it's myself, Avi, or Nam, or some of the other guys. But we'll probably find a place to meet people and hang out on Friday night in San Diego. So just
you stay classy. You stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego. Oh my God, what a line! I should have ended with that.
It was right there.
It was right there. It was right there. Well, anyways, all right, whatever. Andy, as always, it's Go Bears.
Go Bears.